My son banned me from his wedding, but had the nerve to send me an $80,000 bill to pay for his lavish party and Hawaiian honeymoon. He even added, "You should thank me for letting you contribute." I just smiled, feeling my anger transform into a cold determination. His dream of a perfect, ostentatious wedding was about to become a nightmare. I was sitting at my kitchen table in the quiet of my Lexington home, with the late October afternoon light filtering through faded curtains. The envelope had arrived that same morning, thick, ivory-colored, with Kevin's neat handwriting on the front. I assumed it was his wedding invitation. Finally, after months of complete silence. As my fingers traced the seal, I felt a small spark of hope, despite everything. I opened it carefully, expecting an elegant card with the date, the venue, maybe a note asking me to walk him down the aisle, like we used to joke about years ago. But no. There was no invitation. Instead, a sheaf of papers fell out. Detailed, crisp, professional invoices, totaling $80,000. My eyes scanned the lines. $50,000 to rent a mansion near Lexington, a huge estate with manicured gardens and crystal chandeliers. $20,000 for catering with imported wines and lobster flown in from Maine. Another $10,000 for the honeymoon suite in Maui with private beach access. And at the bottom, a handwritten note from Kevin. "Dad, after all the trouble you caused the family, you should thank me for letting you contribute. This is your share. Send the check soon. Victoria and I are counting on it." I stared at those words, the paper cold and smooth under my fingers. Trouble? The same things he had thrown in my face during our last argument. He blamed me for not climbing higher in my career as an engineer, for the modest life we led after his mother's death. My hand trembled slightly as I set the note on the table. The costs, one by one, blurred before my eyes. Next to the note was a framed photo of Kevin as a boy, gap-toothed, smiling after a baseball game, his small hand holding mine. How had that boy turned into this man who treated me like an ATM, who excluded me from his wedding because I didn't fit his polished image? First, I felt the shock, like an icy wave squeezing my chest. I crumpled the note in my fist, the paper crackling like dry leaves. But then I smoothed it out again. I wasn't going to let anger blind me. I pushed my chair back, rising slowly as my knees protested. The kitchen felt smaller, the walls closing in with memories of family dinners that would never happen again. I went to the sink, splashed water on my face, but it didn't cool the burning sensation. Kevin thought he could erase me from his life, and at the same time, dip into my savings. The very fund I built over years of working overtime, sacrificing every penny after losing Eleanor to cancer in 2015. He only called me once after the funeral, his voice sharp. "You should have done more, Dad, for all of us." I returned to the table and picked up an old pocket watch, a family heirloom from my father. The chain was worn from generations of hard work. The ticking in my hand was a reminder of the bonds that should last. But Kevin had already cut them, hadn't he? He banned me because Victoria whispered to him that a simple retiree would embarrass her tech world guests. Then I smiled, but not with happiness. It was a slow, bitter smile as the pain transformed into something sharper. Resolution. I set the bill aside, folding it carefully. I felt a spark ignite within me. A plan began to take shape in the shadows of my mind. I looked at the bill again. Those mocking numbers no longer bothered me. The anger was beginning to fade, replaced by a cold clarity. Kevin thought he could manipulate me. He was wrong. I knew confronting him directly wouldn't work. He would just dismiss me, as always. But I could investigate, find the cracks in his perfect plan. My old laptop was on the kitchen counter, dusty but ready. It was time to find out what they were really up to. That spark was still burning as I picked up the photo of Kevin again. His boyish face looked back at me, innocent, full of promise. A day at Jacobson Park, when he was 8. He had climbed onto my lap during a sudden thunderstorm, burying his face in my shoulder as the rain pounded the car windows. "Don't worry, Dad," he had said, his voice muffled. "You're the strongest." I held him tight, promising I would always protect him, while Eleanor watched us with that warm smile of hers. Now I was pacing the kitchen. The floorboards creaked under my feet. The scent of stale morning coffee still hung in the air. The memories came unbidden, weekends teaching him how to bat at the local field, his laughter echoing as he ran the bases. We were inseparable then. It was the three of us against the world. But everything changed when Eleanor died. Kevin was already 25, climbing the corporate tech ladder, and he started to pull away. "You let her down, Dad," he told me one night on the phone in 2016, his voice dripping with resentment. "If you had made more money, maybe her treatments would have been better." I swallowed the pain. I reminded him of the battles with the insurance company, the second mortgage I took out to cover Eleanor's care. But he didn't want to listen. He only saw my failures. The modest house, the stable, yes, but unglamorous job. Last Christmas made it clear. I drove to his sleek apartment downtown, my arms full of a homemade apple pie, just like Eleanor used to make. Victoria barely looked up from her phone. She whispered something to Kevin that made him smirk. "Dad, we're vegan now," he said flatly. And honestly, showing up unannounced is awkward. I left early. The drive back was a blur of lights. I felt like a relic in their shiny world. And now, this bill, it was the final offense. EGOT, demanding I finance their luxury while casting me aside. I clenched my fists as I walked to the window. The leaves danced in the yard, and a slow, steady anger grew, replacing the nostalgia. How dare he treat me like a burden and then expect gratitude for letting me pay? I was not the victim. Not anymore. I raised him alone after losing Eleanor. I gave up vacations and comforts to give him a good start, and Victoria, with her designer bags and boastful social media posts, only fueled his greed. No, this betrayal would not go unpunished. That day, I swore silently but firmly, I would turn their perfect day into a lesson they would never forget. The rain began to beat against the glass, as if mirroring the storm inside me. I turned around, my determination hardening like steel. A fleeting doubt crossed my mind. Was I too old to fight this battle? But I pushed it away immediately. Justice has no age. It's about dignity. With that thought, I reached for my old laptop on the counter. The cool metal grounded me as I prepared to dig deeper. The machine whirred to life, casting a low hum in the dim kitchen. Its screen cast a blue glow on the cluttered table. I settled into the chair as the rain beat harder against the windows and opened the browser with decisive clicks. Kevin's profiles were locked down, but Victoria's were not. She loved to show off her perfect life. I scrolled through her posts one after another like little stabs. "Can't wait for our dream wedding at the Ashford estate. Blessed peak style and luxury." The date jumped out at me. November 15th, 2024, just a few weeks away. Photos of the mansion, its grand ballroom setup for rehearsals, chandeliers glittering like diamonds. I took a sip of the cheap wine I'd been saving. The harsh taste helped me focus. No more grieving. It was time to act. I took out a notebook and started writing. Venue, Ashford Estate. Rental, $50,000. Caterer, Catherine's Elite Events with a farm-to-table menu for 200 guests. Photographer, someone named Leah Banks, high-end, recommended in Victoria's comments. Dreamy photos on the way, she had written, with heart emojis. I debated internally. Should I confront him directly? No, that would just give him the satisfaction of ignoring me. Better to operate from the shadows, to take away the control he was so obsessed with. Tab after tab in my browser, I found the wedding planner's website, Mark Brennan. His bio read, "Flawless events for discerning clients." An old colleague of Kevin's on LinkedIn had liked a post about the booking, confirmed. Details of the honeymoon appeared on a travel agency's site, a resort in Maui, an overwater bungalow, all inclusive. All financed, of course, with the bill they sent me. My anger flared again when I saw a video of Victoria trying on her dress. Kevin was beside her, smiling as if everything was perfect. "Dad is paying for the party indirectly," she had joked in the comments. Indirectly. The nerve of it burned inside me. I cross-referenced vendors, creating a complete list: the florist, the DJ, even the limousine. The extravagance was absurd, far beyond what Kevin's salary could cover without my money. A new doubt crept in. Was I going too far? Was it worth risking the few family ties that remained? But then I remembered his note again, that superiority with which he demanded my gratitude. And the doubt vanished. This wasn't just for me anymore. It was for self-respect, for teaching him that greed has consequences. My hand steadied on the keyboard when I found Mark Brennan's contact number. He was the key to everything. I took a deep breath. It was time to make the call, to start unraveling his masterpiece, thread by thread. I picked up the phone. My fingers hovered over the keypad. The phone rang twice before a sleek voice answered, polished as marble. Mark Brennan Events, Mark speaking. How can I make your day extraordinary? I leaned against the kitchen counter, the cool receiver against my ear, controlling my breath. Hello, Mark. This is Stephen Thompson. I'm Kevin's father, the one paying for his wedding. There was a pause. Then, his tone warmed. Mr. Thompson, Kevin mentioned you'd be calling to confirm the payments. We're thrilled you're contributing to this special event. The Ashford estate is booked, and Victoria's vision is coming together beautifully. I let him talk for a few minutes about floral arches and string quartets, my mind sharpening like a blade. Actually, Mark, I interrupted calmly, I'd prefer to discuss this in person. Can we meet tomorrow? There are some details I'd like to clarify. He agreed immediately. He suggested his office in downtown Lexington at 10 in the morning. I hung up. The click echoed in the silent room. I poured myself another glass of wine, swirling it slowly, imagining his face when he understood the truth. No more hiding behind invoices and condescending notes. I leaned back in my chair. The adrenaline was coursing through me like electricity. The meeting with Mark was the first step, and I had to be prepared. I spent the rest of the evening reviewing the invoice again, jotting down key figures to have the facts ready. Before bed, I picked out a clean sweater and dress pants, nothing fancy, but serious enough. As I lay down, I felt the plan taking shape, solid as a house's foundation. The next morning, I woke up early, coffee in the thermos, keys in hand, ready to go. I drove through quiet streets. The autumn leaves swirled like confetti across the windshield. A brief doubt caught me at a red light. Was this the point of no return? It was, and I accelerated as soon as it turned green. Mark's office was in a modern building, all glass and steel, a far cry from the old brick building where my engineering firm was located. I parked and went inside. The lobby air smelled of expensive cologne. Mark greeted me with a firm handshake, his suit tailored, his tie perfectly knotted. Mr. Thompson, please, come in. Can I get you a coffee? He led me to a plush chair in front of his desk, which was covered in fabric swatches, contracts, and catalogs. A framed photo caught my eye, a smiling couple under a gazebo. A cold thought pierced me. That joy would not be Kevin's, not with my money. We sat down. He opened the folder. So the $80,000 covers everything. The venue, the catering, even the deposit for the honeymoon. Kevin assured me it's all taken care of. I leaned forward, my voice controlled. Oh, really? Tell me, Mark, did Kevin happen to mention that he banned me from attending the wedding? That I'm not even invited to this lavish affair I'm supposedly funding? His eyes widened. The pen fell from his fingers. Banned? No. He said the family contributions were all arranged. This is awkward. Awkward, I repeated, my voice dry and firm. Try insulting. He sent me the bill with a note saying I should be grateful, after raising him alone after everything we've been through. Mark put a hand to his temple, looking uncomfortable. I don't know what to say. The contracts are signed, but without the full payment we can't proceed. The deposits are non-refundable, but the rest... Exactly, I cut in. Inform Kevin that the wedding is on hold until he speaks to me face to face. There are no funds coming from me. And if he pushes, remind him how fragile plans can be. He nodded, stunned. I'll call him today. This changes things. I stood up, ready to leave, and as I turned, I heard him mutter under his breath, "That arrogant little punk." That energized me. A first glimpse of the chaos that was just beginning. I stepped out into the crisp air. The door closed behind me, and I felt the ripple effect of the stone I'd just thrown into the water. Standing on the sidewalk, with the autumn air all around, a certainty washed over me. I couldn't do this alone. Mark was just the first step. Kevin wouldn't give in that easily, and I would need eyes, ears, and allies in the right places. Alex's name popped into my head. I still had his number saved, despite years of silence. He knew Kevin better than most, and now he worked as a private investigator. That could be very useful. I slid into my car and took a deep breath. The plan was starting to come into focus. I started scrolling through my contacts as the engine purred in the rain. No missed calls. Yet. But the silence wouldn't last. As I pulled onto the highway heading home, my thoughts revolved around a single word: allies. I stopped scrolling when I saw his name. Alex. We hadn't spoken in years. He had been Kevin's childhood best friend, the same one Kevin ditched when ambition started to consume him. A fleeting memory came to me. Alex, 12 years old, showing up at our door after his parents' divorce. Eleanor would make him hot chocolate while Kevin and I played cards to distract him. I dialed before doubt could set in. "Alex, it's Stephen Thompson. It's been a long time." His voice was surprised but warm. "Mr. T, yeah, it has. How have you been? Everything okay?" "Not exactly," I admitted. "Kevin's getting married, but it's complicated." "Can we meet? I need your expertise. I heard you're a PI now, and you know a thing or two about photography." He let out a dry laugh. "News travels fast, I guess. Sure. The old coffee shop on Broadway. In an hour." I agreed. I hung up just as I pulled into my driveway. The house didn't feel so empty anymore, now that a purpose filled it. An hour later, I was sitting at a corner table in the coffee shop, the smell of fresh-baked scones mixing with the autumn leaves falling outside the window. Alex arrived, taller than I remembered, with the sharp eyes of a detective and a camera bag slung over his shoulder. We shared a firm handshake. His grip was confident. "Mr. T, you look good. I'm so sorry about Eleanor. She was like a second mom to me." "Thanks, Alex, and please call me Stephen." I slid a cup of coffee toward him. "Kevin banned me from his wedding, but he sent me an $80,000 bill. I'm not paying. I'm fighting back." His face hardened. "That sounds like him. He cut me off years ago because I refused to fake a reference for one of his jobs. Said I was holding him back with my small-time gigs." I nodded, probing carefully. "I've heard similar stories. He used others to climb." "Oh, yeah," Alex said, leaning forward with a mix of old resentment. "In college, he stole project ideas from me, passed them off as his own. When I confronted him, he just ghosted me. Victoria's the same. It's all about image with them." We planned everything over coffee refills. Alex would capture everything from outside the wedding. Photos, videos, any reactions or meltdowns. Material ready to use as leverage, if needed. From the counter, an acquaintance waved. "Old Mrs. Jenkins." Alex chuckled. "Remember when you and Kevin scared her with fake snow in the middle of July?" He smiled, but his expression faded quickly. "Those days are long gone." "The change. I see it too," I replied. "But this alliance is real." We parted with another handshake. Ideas were swirling in my head like the steam from our cups. "What if we need more proof? Recordings? Records?" I asked, leaving the question hanging. He nodded thoughtfully. "Stop by my place tonight," I proposed. "Bring what you have and let's get properly prepared." Alex smiled, his eyes glinting with enthusiasm. "Done, Stephen. I'll be there at 8. That question kept echoing in my mind as I drove home. The rain started again, a soft tapping on the roof. By evening, I had texted Alex to come over. I couldn't wait any longer. He arrived on time, his briefcase in hand. The rain was getting heavier, and the porch light was a golden haze. "Ready to take this to the next level?" he said, stepping inside and shrugging off his coat. We settled in the living room. I cleared the coffee table. The dim lamps cast long shadows on the worn rugs. I handed him a mug of hot coffee. The steam rose like a promise. "Show me how to protect myself. Recorders, cameras, everything you've got." Alex started unpacking. A small recorder, hidden cameras, even apps to log calls. "First, the legal stuff," he explained, his voice firm. "In Kentucky, you only need one-party consent to record a conversation. Just press this button mid-call." I practiced with a mock setup. His demonstration showed me the tactics Kevin might use. Gaslighting, deflection, manipulation. "Like when he blamed you for his mother's treatment," he said softly. "I remember you sold your car to pay those bills and he just ignored it." His words hit me. I remembered the image. Eleanor in the hospital, her hand weak in mine. Kevin storming out of the room, accusing me of not fighting hard enough. I shared that memory briefly, my voice cracking. She deserved more from all of us. "You gave everything," Alex countered. His tone was gentle but firm. "I owe you a lot. After my parents split, you let me stay here. You helped me with my math homework. Kevin just made fun of me, called me weak." We clinked our mugs in silence, a toast to justice, not revenge. Alex guided me on camera placement. "Aim this one at the door. You'll get clear shots of their faces." I tested one. The image was sharp on my phone. A surge of strength rose in my chest as I saw the stable feed. But as the device hummed softly, a thought struck me. What if Kevin called tonight? What if he sensed the shift? Kevin didn't call that night, but I knew the silence wouldn't last. The next day, the wait was tense. I checked my phone, tested the cameras, walked around the block trying to calm my nerves. Every passing car made me jump, thinking it might be him. By nightfall, I was on edge when the phone finally buzzed. His name flashed on the screen. The recorder was still on, its green light steady as the phone buzzed on the table, cutting through the silence like a knife. I was halfway through making tea. The kettle was starting to whistle, steam rising in lazy spirals. Kevin. I let it ring. I watched the vibrations make the phone inch across the wood. A draft of cold air slipped through the window, tightening the knot in my stomach. It was a power move. Then it buzzed again. Victoria. I ignored her too. I poured the hot water over the tea bag. The chamomile scent grounded me. I remembered Alex's advice. Record everything. Their words will be your ammunition. A few days had passed since our session, filled with quiet preparations, installing apps, testing angles in the house, even taking walks around the neighborhood to clear my head. But now, the storm was breaking. The notifications piled up, 3 voicemails, several texts marked urgent. I sat at the kitchen table. The dim overhead light cast long shadows on the walls. I pressed play, my finger barely trembling. Dad, it's Kevin. There's a misunderstanding with the payments. The planner called me. He says you canceled. Call me as soon as you can. We need to sort this out. He started calmly, but you could slowly hear the tension in his voice, like gravel underfoot. I played it again, analyzed every word. Misunderstanding. As if his bill and his exclusion were just simple accidents. Second voicemail. Stephen, it's Victoria. Kevin is upset. The vendors are threatening to cancel if you don't make your contribution. Don't do this. It's childish. Her tone was sharp, condescending, like someone scolding a child. Childish. The word stung, but I smiled slightly as I sipped my tea. Alex had already warned me about this. Desperation disguised as accusation. Third message. Kevin again. Now the urgency was rising like the pressure in a pot about to boil. Dad, seriously, pick up. Everything is falling apart. You owe us this, after everything. The pause between phrases hinted at old resentments. His breathing was ragged. I played the message twice more, analyzing the tone, the rhythm, the desperation hidden behind each word. The rumors were already out. Mark had done his part. The echoes were starting to spread. Then, a call from Mrs. Hargrove, an old neighbor from down the street. Her voice was hesitant when I answered. Stephen, I heard some things at the club. Trouble with Kevin's wedding. People are saying it's about money. Are you okay?" Her words caused a twist in my stomach. I hadn't imagined the rumor would travel so far, so fast, but it strengthened me. It was a rush of control after so many years of being dismissed. But as I set the phone down, another voicemail appeared. Kevin again, his voice now broken. "If you don't fix this, you're going to regret it." The threat hung in the air, replaying in my head as I stared at the screen. And that threat was still echoing when the phone rang again the next night, insistent as a heartbeat. I was pacing the living room, the recorder activated. Ready? I gripped the device tightly. I let it ring 4 times before answering, a deliberate pause to unnerve him. "Hello, Kevin." "Dad, finally. What the hell's going on? Mark says you refuse to pay, that you're sabotaging our wedding." His voice exploded, sharp with frustration. I breathed calmly. The carpet muffled my steps. "Sabotaging? You banned me from coming. You sent me a bill like I was a corporate sponsor, not family. I remember your note. Thank me for letting you contribute." A second of silence. Then he exploded. "It wasn't like that. It's just Victoria's friends, the atmosphere. You're retired, Dad. You wouldn't fit in. But the money does. It's your turn. After Mom, after all the trouble you caused," the jab about Eleanor shot through my chest, like a thorn, but I held firm, recording every word. "I raised you alone. I sold what little I had for her treatment. You blame me then, and you ignore me now. No, Kevin, there will be no payment. You're ruining everything." His shout was raw, unfiltered. "Victoria is furious. The caterer is demanding the deposit. The estate is holding the date, but they're threatening to charge penalties. Fix it." I paused. I glanced at the side table where the old pocket watch rested. Its steady ticking, a symbol of dignity that doesn't break. "You fix what you broke. Talk to me like a son, not a banker." Then Victoria's voice cut in. Speakerphone, I realized. "Stephen, this is ridiculous. We are building a life. Your pettiness could ruin everything. Have you thought about the embarrassment?" Embarrassment. The word hit me like a dart. The hypocrisy was staggering. Embarrassment? Like banning your father-in-law? Like sending him a bill for the honeymoon you expect him to fund while you exclude him? Kevin jumped back in. Defensive. "It's what's expected, Dad. Family contributes. Just admit it. You're jealous of my success." There it was. The confession. Jealousy. That was his justification. And it hit me like a revelation. The bloated ego, finally exposed. I answered firmly. "Success built on using others. That's over." The line crackled. His breathing was heavy. "You're going to regret this. We're done." He hung up. The silence left my ears ringing. His words kept echoing. A slip-up, a crack. That only sharpened my resolve. I paced the hall, turning it all over. The house was quiet except for the distant hum of the refrigerator. Then a text came through. "Alex. Update. Vendors are demanding payment. Rumors are flying at the estate. Pics on the way." I opened the file. Blurry images of workers stopping their setup. A florist's van paused, unsure whether to unload or leave. The images fueled me. Then Kevin's texts started. "Selfish old man. You're destroying our day because of your pride." Short, sharp accusations glowing on the screen like daggers. My heart was still steady when I got a call from Mr. Ellis, the neighbor on the other side of the fence. "Stephen, I saw Kevin yelling at a delivery guy yesterday. Total jerk, demanding discounts like he was a king." His voice was gruff but supportive. "I heard about the wedding disaster. If you need any support, I'm here. Remember when he snubbed us at the block party? Thought he was better than everyone." I leaned against the wall, the phone pressed to my ear. "Thanks, Ellis. What exactly happened with the delivery guy?" He chuckled. "He brought some invitations or something. Kevin chewed him out for a crease in the envelope, yelled, 'Do you know who I am?' And Victoria, not saying a word, just watching. People are talking. The vendors are backing out." That story painted Kevin in vivid strokes. Arrogant, entitled, exactly how he treated me. "Thanks for the info, Ellis. It keeps me going." Don't mention it, Stephen. You've got community here. He doesn't. We hung up. I texted Alex immediately. More from the neighbor. Kevin's running out of allies. His response was perfect. It's all accelerating. His plans are crumbling. But just as I set the phone on the table, a new message appeared. Unknown number. Maybe a vendor. Maybe something deeper. Mr. Thompson, regarding the wedding cancellation fees. The words blurred, sparking a new wave of urgency. The clock on the mantelpiece seemed to be counting down to something inevitable. The gray dawn light crept through the curtains on November 15th, 2024. The wedding day? The rain began to patter against the windows like impatient fingers. I had woken up early. The ticking of the clock still echoed, reminding me of the tension that had built all week. Days spent in a quiet vigil. Getting updates from Alex, ignoring Kevin's increasingly aggressive texts, and walking in the cold Lexington air, steeling myself against any doubt. Now, checking the weather on my phone, the forecast was clear. Steady rain. A storm that seemed to reflect the one I had unleashed. A symbolic downpour, washing away the pretense. I made coffee. The rich aroma filled the kitchen. I sat down with my phone in hand. Ready? First text from Alex, 7 a.m. At the estate, some vendors showing, some not. Pics coming soon. I sipped my coffee slowly, the warm mug between my hands. The pictures started to arrive. Florists unloading, then packing half the arrangements back up, their faces tense under umbrellas. Issues with the deposit, one of the captions read. They're pulling out. The chaos was unfolding before my eyes, like a play falling apart. A catering truck stopped, workers packing away boxes of unused dishes, the rain turning the driveway into a shimmering mirror. Guests started to arrive around noon. Alex's covert photos showed confused groups huddled under tents, umbrellas opening like black flowers. Where is everything? Someone could be heard muttering. I ignored another wave of calls from Kevin. The phone vibrated on the table like a trapped bee. The voicemails piled up. I played one, his voice now frantic. Dad, send the money now. Everything is falling apart. The estate is threatening to cancel. The desperation cracked through his words, a world of difference from his initial arrogance. More photos. The grand ballroom, half decorated, chairs scattered chaotically, no sign of the string quartet. And then, an image that twisted something inside me. Victoria, in her wedding dress, her face a mess, the rain streaming down the mansion's windows like tears. For a moment, doubt brushed against me. Had I been too cruel, turning their day into a spectacle? But I remembered that arrogant bill, that note that hurt me more than any storm. And the doubt vanished into a quiet satisfaction. Justice isn't always kind. By the afternoon, Alex reported, guests are wandering, some are leaving, rumors are flying. Something about a family fight over money. I paced the house. The rain beat relentlessly against the glass. I could imagine the humiliation taking shape miles away. Another voicemail from Kevin, now pleading. Please, Dad, make the transfer. The guests are laughing. Help us. An audio clip from Alex caught a guest's voice. This is a disaster. Total lack of planning. The rain intensified. Sheets of water blurred the garden as if nature itself was amplifying the judgment. And then, the phone rang again. Kevin. His broken voice was captured on voicemail as I let it ring out. I didn't answer. I let it go. But right after, there was a loud knock on the door. A heavy, insistent pounding, muffled by the storm. Water was pouring from the eaves. Rivulets pooled on the porch steps. I approached cautiously. I looked through the peephole, Kevin and Victoria, disheveled in pajamas under hastily thrown-on coats, wet hair stuck to their pale, exhausted faces. I opened the door just a crack. The cold mist sprayed my face. What are you doing here? Kevin pushed forward, water dripping from his sleeves, leaving a puddle on the entryway rug. An intrusion as awkward as it was unexpected. Dad, let us in. The wedding is ruined. The vendors left. The guests scattered in the rain. It's a joke now. Victoria cowered behind him. Her makeup was streaked. Her dress peeked out ridiculously from under her soaked coat. Stephen, please, just Transfer the money. We can still save some of it. I stepped aside reluctantly. I closed the door behind them, shutting out the wind. They stood there, dripping in the hallway. The scent of my home contrasted with their desperation. Save it? After you banned me? After you demanded money like I was a silent partner? Kevin ran a hand through his wet hair. His voice broke. It was a mistake. It was Victoria's idea. The image, you know. But now everything's collapsed. Help us, Dad, for old time's sake. I crossed my arms. I stood firm despite the emotional pull. A memory hit me in the silence. Kevin, as a teenager, after Eleanor's funeral, accusing me of being weak while I buried myself in work just to keep from falling apart, that held me steady. Old time's sake? Like when you blame me for your mother's death? Or when you only look for me when you need money? Victoria spoke up. Her tone, for the first time, trembled, a crack of vulnerability showing. We didn't mean to. It was the stress. The honeymoon is paid for. We'll lose the deposits. Think about us. Think about you? I repeated, calm but direct. Have you ever thought about me without seeing my wallet? Answer me. Kevin hesitated. His eyes avoided mine. Of course we have. Your family. But success demands certain standards. Please, just transfer it. Standards over bonds. It hung in the air, a slip that revealed their shallowness. No, Kevin, this is the consequence. Greed has a price. He begged again, his voice rising. You're destroying us. The guests are whispering. The vendors are laughing. Fix it for your son. Victoria held his arm, whispering something urgently, but I shook my head. No, go and learn. I moved toward the door, and in that moment, Kevin let out his last line. Raw, unmasked. Wait, Dad. I'm sorry. For everything. The rain roared outside as I closed the door, leaving their retreating footsteps in the storm. His apology hung in the air, an echo. I turned, and I sank into the armchair by the window. The rain slid down the glass in patterns that faded away, just like them. The car's headlights cut through the twilight and disappeared. The house was once again wrapped in its comforting silence. The following days drifted by in a blur. Calls from curious neighbors, constant reflection, even a quiet night where I threw the original bill into the fireplace, its ashes a symbolic release. Over the weekend, Alex texted. Total collapse. The estate returned a portion, but their reputation took a hit. The scandal has actually brought me new clients. I called him. The line crackled with warmth. Stephen, you did it. The photos show the empty tents, the guests fleeing, and Kevin wandering around in the middle of the rumors. His arrogance blew up in his face. I leaned back. I looked at an old photo album open on the table, faded pictures of happy times. They stirred something in me, but they didn't break me. Thanks for your help. It feels liberating. Alex laughed lightly. Anytime, Stephen. Have you heard from him? No, but maybe he'll learn. We talked about old jokes, and then about future plans. Maybe a trip. A lighter life. Later, a surprise. Mrs. Hargrove emailed me, inspired by the rumors. Stephen, your stand reminded me that we have to value real bonds. Coffee soon? It warmed my soul, alliances sprouting from the chaos. I raised my mug, alone in the kitchen. To reclaim dignity, I murmured. The house felt fuller, not with things, with self-worth. Kevin's lesson would hurt, but growth almost always does. And maybe, just maybe, that apology he showed was a seed. The storm had finally passed. I stepped out into the garden. The air was fresh. The sun was breaking through the clouds. A new path was opening up before me,